Welcome to Strange Gossip. I'm Catherine.
And I'm Taylor, and this is going to be like your friend's take on the weird.
Because we're tired of real life problems and want to talk about spooky shit.
Yeah, welcome to season 2, guys. I can't believe we're already here.
It really feels like I am just so happy we've made it to 2024. 2023 was kind of a shit year, I'll be honest. We're ready. We're ready for some new energy, new vibe, new season, new location, new hair. It's a lot of new.
Yeah, we got a lot of new stuff coming. I feel like 2024 is going to be our year of just a lot of things. A lot of renovations happening, a lot of like possibly baby making happening. I don't know.
We'll see.
That's it's not planned, but it's not happening right now. That's all I'll say.
We're not pregnant. Everyone listening. We're not pregnant. But we're in that stage of life. I feel like that's a fair thing. Like, it's crazy to be, I feel like we're in this weird in-between phase. Like, I love the term Saturn return. Like when someone was like, oh, you're in your Saturn return, which is 27. But I feel like, do you know about Saturn returns?
No, but I'm far past 27 at this point.
Okay, fair. But I have a theory about it because so your Saturn return is like a term when I guess all of the stars realign to when you were born. So it's like you've done like your first big cycle of life. And some people relate it to astrology, which I totally get. But I kind of think, and that's fun. I like to like hear those stories. But I think for me, it makes sense because you've done your childhood and you've been an adult long enough to kind of know what you want and what you don't want. So I feel like this like late 20s, early 30s time is when a lot of people are like, okay, am I happy with my career? Am I happy with my like partner? Am I happy with my location? Am I like everyone starts to recheck themselves at this age?
Midlife crisis, or you had to be a little bit older for that?
I think it is kinda.
Yeah.
Like it is kinda.
Maybe. I think that's more like 40s.
For sure. I think midlife crisis is more like 40s, 50s.
So you reassess all this stuff. You think that you have it figured out, and then you realize you don't have it figured out, and you can't plan anything.
Well, your Saturn return is every 27 years. So 27, then plus 27 again. That would be the midlife crisis, right? Like kind of.
That's like late 50s, isn't it? Don't make me math right now.
Okay, fair. I won't. But I do think like a lot of people at this age, like I know a lot of people breaking up right now, calling off engagements, a lot of people switching careers, a lot of people like, do I want kids? Do I not want kids? Like a lot of those conversations are coming up right now.
That's a good point because I have been like sitting here. Work's been really stressful for me lately. So fun. Love it. No, I don't. But I'm like sitting here and I'm like getting through the day. I'm like, what if I just moved to North Shore, Oahu? Mm-hmm. You know? Mm-hmm. And I'm like sitting there watching the Pipe Masters. I'm like, I could live. I could just buy that house if I had like $7 million.
Someone want to sponsor our move.
And I'm like, I'll keep my job. Like I'll work in my little office looking at pipeline. You know what I mean? Like totally doable. Like this house is on the market. I've been watching it and I'm like totally thinking in my head, like totally realistic. Is it realistic? No.
The amount of
Is it going to get me through the day? Yeah.
100%. The amount of times I'll get frustrated with Los Angeles for whatever reason, I'll be like, I'm moving to the woods. That's not far. Yeah. It's cheaper in the woods. I should move to the woods. Why do I even live here? What's the point of anything? And then I'll be on, but it'll go a little too far. Like I will have Redfin alerts for random cities I've never been to. And I'm like, no, I could definitely buy a farm here. And I'm going to get chickens. I'm going to get goats. And I plan like a whole nother life for myself. I think that's like weird coping. Like I really
do. And I think a lot more people do it than we think. Like,
oh, yeah.
For real.
Oh, for sure. That is definitely. But I think all going back to this like precipice of change, I think we're all kind of in this weird, I mean, it's the new year. Everyone has like their different goals. What's the word I'm looking for? Resolutions. There we go. And so I think there's just a lot of change. And I think we're at the age where we're kind of shifting into like, oh, we are adults. We're not young adults anymore. And so like, do I want kids? Do I want a work-life balance? Do I want to live in my city? It's just all kind of
I think all that. I mean, I don't know. I make a lot of like thoughts and decisions based on like my future kids, which is so weird because I'm like, I don't have like,
But
you
I
never
love
know what's going to
that.
happen. Like we're going through like the house, like figuring out where the rooms are going to be. And I'm like, that closet's really small. And I'm pretty sure my kid's going to want a bigger closet.
Oh,
Those are the
that's so
thoughts.
sweet.
But the crazy part is like, once you have kids, I feel like all of your thoughts are going to be that. And I think
Sure, for
we're
sure.
in for a shift, but I don't know because I don't have kids yet, but that's where my head's going. But I think that this year is going to probably be the year that big changes happen for
Lot
us.
of changes. And honestly, speaking of which, the reason why I'm shooting in the garage right now is that our
Yeah.
kitchen flooded and our house is currently under they're doing demo currently. And so it's a little bit noisier in here. So or in there. So I'm happy to be taking this from the
Yep.
garage. It's probably gonna be a little bit louder, but I promise not nearly as loud as if I tried to do this in the office right now. So bear with
Yeah.
me a little bit, new location, and we're
Well,
just gonna
and
roll with
then
it.
and then you're renovating that space too.
Yes. Okay. It truly is. I feel like I jinxed myself if I'm being very honest because so many things happened. You know, we had to deal with like the Lahaina fire, and then I had lost my grandmother, and then it was around the anniversary of my mom's death, and then
I know.
there was just like a bunch of things that were like happening all at once. And so I told David, I was like, we had just traveled for the funeral. There's just a lot of things that were happening. And I was like, to my husband, David, I was like, we are not doing anything. I want the easiest December ever. And then our
Nope.
kitchen floods. And I was like, you know what? You have to just roll with the punches at a certain
Isn't
point.
that just the stars aligning? Aren't they just treating us so well?
And like it is comical. However, I will say, one, I mean, you have to do the dance of insurance, which sucks. Taylor, I don't know if I even talked to you about this yet. They found these huge holes behind the cabinets. Keep in mind, we bought this house and they had redone the kitchen, and it was a beautiful kitchen. It really, really is a beautiful kitchen. So I was sad
Yeah.
to see it go. And it was recently renovated. But girl, the person who put this together did a terrible job. They had
Oh,
holes
no.
everywhere behind it. And the guy that came to do the demolition was like, oh yeah, baby rats would nest in this easily. And I'm like, oh,
Ew.
oh. Thankfully they didn't find
Ugh.
anything. But I'm like, thank goodness they came in and like gutted all this and like are
It's a
gonna
blessing
fix it
in
moving
disguise.
forward. Yeah, it's just gonna be a
Yes.
mess. It's just gonna be a mess for now.
It'll be a lot for a little bit. But have you seen those TikTok videos or like those reels of the girl that I don't know if it was like in her bathroom, but like she took a mirror or something off and it like
Oh no.
led her
Yes.
behind the walls?
Yes.
That's what I was thinking when you were like, there's holes. And I'm
You're
like,
like-
holes leading where?
They're just to the outside.
Yeah.
Well, not the outside,
So-
like the, you know what I mean? But I,
The wall, yeah.
that is so crazy. I have seen that. And it's
Yeah.
basically, because it's more than a crawl space, right? It's like a
Oh yeah,
hidden
like
room.
it's like an area. Yeah.
Okay, I actually have to share a little dream. I've had this reoccurring dream throughout my whole life, and it actually relates to this.
Oh no.
So in the dream, I think I'm in roughly my old place in Hawaii,
Yeah.
like my old home in
Okay.
Hawaii.
Yeah.
But I crawl through, you remember there's like a little attic space behind my
Yep.
room? So
Yeah.
I crawl into there, and then there's a secret door, and I enter the secret door, and it's just
Yeah.
miles of like, I don't say miles, that's dramatic, but there's like a huge long hallway, very
Mhm.
uncanny valley, very liminal spaces.
Yeah, I
and
was gonna say.
I walk, and it has like the old 90s glass and 90s color. That's just the best way I
Weird.
could put it. It's like a light pink is I think I'm
Okay.
pretty sure is the color. And then that like really specifically that like that glass, that 90s glass that was everywhere, like the squares. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh my God. Yeah. Like
So-
the shower squares?
Yes, but that's
Yeah.
like a wall, and I keep going back, and then it's this like creepy spa space, but it's clearly been abandoned, and it's like a very abandoned room. And I've had this dream throughout my life multiple times. It always creeps me out.
That's so weird.
But speaking of hidden things behind walls, but because I recently had that dream again, and I'm like, what is this?
And then your kitchen has holes.
I know. Thankfully,
Typical.
It's just the God. I'll have to post a photo. So you guys
I know
can
what you
see.
mean. It's like kind of behind you, if like open.
Yes,
kind of
yes,
like,
exactly.
yeah,
It was like
yeah.
holes into this. But yeah,
Yeah.
like, just man, everyone take a deep breath and hug
Insane.
yourself because woo.
For real. Oh my God. Well, I don't have any current topics. I feel like that was the current topic.
It truly was. I think the current topic is getting through. Also, again, you're going to probably hear more airplanes being out here. So
I don't even hear it. Yeah.
hey,
You're
that's
good.
great. That's great
Yeah.
news. Well,
Yeah.
I'm so excited to start the new year because this means that we get to kind of start our topics all over again.
I know. I'm excited. Paranormal is always my favorite one. So
no, we had to start off with strong.
Come
And
on.
I've been waiting for you to share Night Marchers. I think since we started this, like
I
I
know.
think in the initial conversations, I think this was brought up. So you're
Yeah.
just kind of like starting the new year so strong. So I'm so excited.
I know.
And so I decided I would also kind of level up, bringing one of the biggest American hauntings in history to the table.
Hell yeah.
This story includes a spirit attacking the family, a witch accusation, a visit from an eventual president, a poisoning. This story has it all.
Jesus.
We're coming in hot today.
That was a new year for those people. My God.
Oh, girl, get ready.
Okay.
I am sharing the legend of the Bell Witch.
Oh, I've heard of the Bell Witch. Okay, I'm excited.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's a legend. She's an icon. She's the moment.
She was.
All right, so let's take it back to 1817 in Adams, Tennessee. John Bell Sr., his wife Lucy, and depending on what account you read, their 6 to 9 children. They've all been living on their farm for over a decade happily with no problems, just living their best life. On a seemingly normal day, John Bell Sr. went out to his field and saw something move out of the corner of his eye. In the tall brush appeared a large animal, something that resembled a dog but had the head of a rabbit. Nope, that's a big nope. Big dog, too. Freaked out by the strange animal, John did what was probably common of the time and decided to shoot at it.
That's what I would do. Love him.
Bam.
Welcome to Tennessee.
In 1817.
I mean, and current day.
Yeah, for real. But he missed the creature. He just kind of scared it away. But from that encounter onward, nothing would be the same. That very night, the Bell family began hearing scratching and banging outside of their house, as if something was trying to scratch its way inside, mixed with someone trying to hurriedly knock to be allowed in. Hate it.
No, not answering my door.
John and his eldest children went to investigate, but found nothing. If anything, the night was quieter and darker than usual. This continued for nights on end, only getting louder and more intense, as if whatever was trying to come inside was getting increasingly more desperate to be let in. Nobody could sleep, obviously. Then one night, the noises started coming from inside the house.
No. Just no.
So the younger children were obviously scared to death of the noises, explaining that to John and Lucy that large rats were at the end of their beds, scratching and gnawing at their leg posts.
Gross.
When John and Lucy investigated, of course, no marks were found. Whatever was creating all of the chaos was only getting stronger, and rightfully so, the family was concerned. From there, an invisible force began to move things around the house, including bed covers and pillows, terrifying the children while they tried to sleep. The family didn't know what to do or what to make of the strange occurrences. There was fear of being judged by their community. They didn't want to admit the growing problem or what it could mean for their family, so they continued on as if nothing was happening. However, as time continued to pass, the entity grew stronger, the noises got louder, and more objects were being thrown about. Then the whispers came. The family began to faintly hear a woman's voice. They couldn't make out words or anything, mostly moans and mumbling. Again, not wanting to admit they had a problem, they left it alone, but of course, it only got worse.
Can I just say, it's kind of sad, like, I mean, back then, I'm sure it was like weird, but I think people still do that. Like, they don't want to like bring up that something like weird is happening.
Oh, for sure.
Because they're like fear of being judged. And like, meanwhile, we're here like, let's talk about it. But
it's so true.
I feel like that needs to be like, I don't know how to fix that. Listen, I'm not here to solve the world's problems. But if someone comes to you with a ghost story, let's just not shit on them, because I feel like a lot of people have these experiences but don't want to talk about it.
It's so true. I think, and that goes for ghost stories, cryptids, UFOs, like,
yeah,
all of that. There is such a fear of being judged, and rightfully so. I mean, the internet exists, trolls exist. Like, I totally hear it and understand.
Yeah.
But it is something that, like, I think for them in their time, witchcraft was also like being tied to any
valid.
Being tied to any evil was almost like, well, I'm not evil. I'm not gonna.
Well, literally, people were getting like murdered for it.
Oh, we'll get into it a little bit in a minute.
Yeah.
But like the witch trials were 100 years prior. But so like they weren't like killing people for being witches, but they still were definitely like believing in witches. Like it still was happening. Like people were like, nah, but we all can admit that witchcraft is real. Like that was really where they were coming from.
Yeah.
But I think in the same way today, like, okay, we might not assume everyone's doing witchcraft, but I do think people are really quick to shame people, troll people, and like I definitely am more skeptical, but I definitely don't want anyone to feel like they can't share a story, because like there's so many things in this world we have no idea. We have no idea.
100%.
It's not fair to like discount someone's experience. Yeah, 100%.
Agreed.
Okay, back into it. So again, not wanting to admit they had a problem, they left it alone, and of course continued to get worse. The voice began singing hymns. Hate it. Freaks me out.
No, girl.
Nope. And over time began trying to communicate with the family, even calling to them by name.
Ew.
And of course, it continued to get worse. And from there, this voice started having conversations with family members, at first in a religious nature. So started sharing scripture, continuing with the hymns, all of that was happening. As the conversations furthered, it became very obvious that she had a distinct hatred for one family member, John Bell Sr.
Sorry, John.
Sorry, John. Bad move. The family would ask why she hated him so much, only to get the answer that he was a bad person, and she would explain her plots to kill him.
Cool. Seems normal.
Could you imagine the wife? Oh, why do you hate my husband? He sucks. I'm going to kill him. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, it's normal. Let her live.
Casual. So John began to feel sick and would come down with unexplained ailments, including not being able to speak due to the feeling of wood trapped in his mouth for days on end. The family knew they needed help, so finally John Bell Sr. decided to tell his friend James Johnson what was going on. James didn't believe him at first, unsure what to make of the situation his friend was explaining. He wanted to see it for himself. So, one night the very same week, James slept over to experience the hauntings. Immediately, the entity started taunting him, calling his name and moving things all around him. James, frozen in fright, mustered the courage to ask the entity what it wanted. But he received no verbal response. Instead, a slap to the face.
Love that. Ghost bitch slap. It's great.
Yep, this spirit was annoyed and was like, I don't need to say anything. Pam.
Don't even talk to me.
Honestly, a diva. Truly.
Yeah, for real.
So in the morning, James urged John to seek help immediately from the church and claimed that his house was haunted by an evil only to be mentioned in the Bible. John, unwilling so far to seek help because of fears of prosecution, finally caved and involved the church. In no time, the whole community is made aware of what's occurring at the Bell House, leading flocks of people to check it out for themselves. Everyone who visits has an encounter with this entity, and with all of these visits, seems to only give it more power and make it stronger.
Makes sense.
I mean, also, too, like, to kind of pause here and just go into other stories, when a whole town, and like this town still exists, the Bell family still exists in the area, but when you have
Yeah.
so much history and so many people that are willing to talk about it and be like, oh yeah, my grandma had it.
Corroborating?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
little, 1817 is a very long time ago. And of course, lore and legend kind of become muddled as the stories repeated over and over again. But it is,
Right.
again, this whole town, granted it was a smaller town, but still so many people of the community had stories about this. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, and then it also makes sense that like the more people that go give it energy, it's gonna, from what we know about ghosts, the more energy they get, the stronger they become. So
For sure. And then
checks
now you
out.
have tons of people kind of putting themselves into this haunting.
Yeah.
Whew. Someone passing through to witness the spirit for themselves asked what it wanted and actually got a response. Quote, I am a spirit. I was once very happy, but have been disturbed. End quote. Another time, the spirit explained it was connected to a Native American burial ground that was on the property. As the entity grew stronger, it continued to speak in Bible passages, and someone claimed the spirit repeated 2 sermons back to back across a 13-mile span at the same time.
Listen, the Bell Wedge is gonna be pissed that I'm saying this, but I hate when people preach to me like that. Like literally stop.
Not mad that you're a ghost, but unwanted.
Listen, you believe what you want, girlfriend, but don't be bitch slapping me and don't be preaching to me, okay? And we'll be fine.
I think it's fair to say that you and the Bell Witch would not get along.
I don't think so.
Because truly that's like her MO. She's like, I'm going to quote scripture and I'm going to hit you in the face. All right.
No thanks. No thanks.
That's hilarious. And also really impressive. I mean, 13 miles apart at the same time, they heard it at the, like, that's.
Yeah, girlfriend was on one that day.
Oh, she was like, I'm really going to, like, I feel like every day the Bell Witch was like, how am I going to spice things up? How am I going to, like,
yeah, she really
myself?
Escalated. She went from a bitch slap to 13 miles. Good for you, girl.
She really is, like, every day she's been leveling up. Like, every day she's been going.
That's how we got to do it, We just got to do the same thing.
Today, how am I going to haunt even further? That's a petty ghost, though. We've talked about petty ghosts in the past. Like, that's almost giving teenage ghost energy. You know how
she's angsty.
Oh, yeah. That is
the gray lady.
Angsty. Yes.
Yeah. They're going to have a competition.
I feel like the Bell Witch wins. She was slapping people in the face. Whoo.
Yeah.
Truly. Okay. So, but this is a fascinating component to this. What is strange about the Bell Witch is that she wasn't always mean. Once the spirit called Lucy the most perfect woman to walk the earth, the entity would provide her fresh fruit and would show respect for Lucy's son, John Bell Jr.
So does she want to kill Lucy's husband?
Yes.
What?
The husband, the dad, bad news. Lucy, incredible. Son, incredible. Gets the stamp.
Interesting. What are her motives, man? I don't understand.
I know. She clearly has really strong opinions about people. We actually have another family member I'll get into here in a second.
Okay.
But at one point, the spirit actually refers to herself as Kate. Now, this was a huge deal for members of the community because there was a neighbor nearby also named Kate that didn't always see eye to eye with John Bell Sr. In fact, she was known for being strange and a bit of an outcast to most of the town. I mean, though, it's the early 1800s. Like, weird could be that she was independent and liked reading. You know what I mean? Like, we don't.
Yeah, that's valid. That, like, most people would take me that way. But was Kate dead?
She was alive.
So what?
So the
what's the thought there?
Well, so the Salem witch trials that we brought up earlier were, 100 years prior.
Oh, so they think she's okay.
But they assumed that a lot of people came to the conclusion that Kate was a witch who conjured the spirit. And so the spirit being a conjuring of the witch Kate was Kate. So that's why we refer to the Bell Witch as the Bell Witch and not the Bell Spirit or, the Bell entity. It's the Bell Witch because of the witchcraft claim.
Got it.
But, the Bell family was pretty convinced it was something evil or maybe paranormal. more of a spirit than a witch. But because that just kind of became the popular narrative, the Bell Witch was what stuck and kind of continued the lore and legend over time.
I mean, it's got a ring to it, so.
It really does.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like maybe this is this is where we pivot to a side podcast about like history, maybe more and more history. But like it does kind of take a secret sauce to make a lore stick. Like you kind of need a good name. 100%. There's like X, Y, and Z that needs to happen. And the Bell Witch is better branding than the Bell entity. You know? Yeah,
that's not the vibe.
Yeah. The Gray Lady is better than Teenage Angsty Ghost.
Died in a what was it? Like
the food shaft thing, or the
food shaft ghost is not the vibe.
Not the vibe. Although if the Bell Witch was called the bitch slapping ghost, I'd be so into it.
Honestly, that's a good one.
We're rebranding. We're helping her grow out.
We're gonna help her out.
Well, so the legend of the Bell Witch spread far and wide and caught the attention of a future president, Andrew Jackson. The story goes that one of the Bell's sons was in his command, and when the story made its way to General Jackson, he wanted to see it for himself. Immediately, Jackson and his troops experienced activities. Not even a couple hours on the property, one of the soldiers began to taunt the witch. But we know the witch well enough to know that she takes no shit. So she immediately started pulling on all of his limbs in different directions. Not only did it scare him to death, but all of the other soldiers that witnessed.
Okay.
By the next morning, Andrew Jackson and his men were out of there. So the story goes.
Smart president.
He's like, I'm good.
I actually don't know if I like Andrew Jackson. I don't know history enough, but.
Yeah, I actually don't either. I probably should have done like a little bit of like a dive into it.
I know, I don't even remember. Well.
This was 1817. He was a general and then comes into... I looked that up at least because I at least wanted to see, because again, this is lore and legend. Like when I looked into like, does the timeline make sense? Apparently, his whereabouts were pretty well accounted for, and he had no log of traveling to Tennessee. So it's kind of like, it could just be a part of the story. But at the same time, they only went for like a couple. They only went for like a couple days. So like.
Yeah. And also like, who the hell's going to save that down? Like, that's not necessarily like pertinent recorded history of like where this president always traveled to. You know what I mean?
So true. I feel like.
I don't even know where I went 5 years ago. Could I tell you? No.
And like, even though they were documenting it, to your point, it was probably for better recorded history. Not so much like, oh, they want to go check out the gossip of a ghost down the road. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. It's more fun. It's more fun to have the story. Oh, but okay, going back to how the Bell Witch kind of picked and chose who she liked, she wasn't keen on another member of the Bell household, the youngest daughter, Betsy. So Betsy was engaged to her childhood sweetheart, and the entity was having none of it.
She just really doesn't like relationships.
It's so true. She's trying to break up couples.
I think that she's salty.
She's a bit of a homewrecker.
She's a bitch slapping homewrecker, and we don't like her.
Oh my gosh, it's hilarious. But it's true. Like Betsy would wake up with like deep scratches in her arms. Like out of everyone of the family, she by far got like the most like
attacked. Yeah.
Yes, the most attacked, the most injuries.
Because she's young and she's got a husband and
but get this though. So the witch would taunt her and say that she would harm her and the family more unless she broke off her engagement. So Betsy ended up calling out the engagement, calling it off.
Girlfriend, I would have went foot to foot with that freaking ghost.
I will find a way to bitch slap you back, ghost.
Yeah, watch out, okay? Because literally no.
I'm getting married, homie. It's hard out here. We're getting married.
I'll leave a chair empty for you. Come along. I don't know.
So the story goes that Betsy called off her engagement because of the Bell Witch.
Wow.
Brutal.
Gnarly.
So the Bell Witch never lost sight of her true objective, though, John Bell Sr. She would continue to mention her hatred of him and how she wanted to kill him. Then one day in December 1820, 3 years after this all began, he fell extremely ill, truly 100 to 0 overnight. He was bedridden and clearly near death. The doctors tried to figure out what was wrong with him, but the only thing that made sense was that he was poisoned.
Oof.
This shocked his wife, Lucy, as no one besides the family had been around him the past few days. Unfortunately, John Bell Sr. passed away.
Oh.
When the family returned to their house, the spirit was singing and laughing, exclaiming that she was the one behind his death. Lucy found a small vial of black liquid that no one recognized near his bed. They gave some of the liquid to their cat to see if it was poison, and indeed it was.
What the fuck?
I know. I hate that.
I'm sorry. Like, let's...
Terrible.
What is
don't
the
test
thought
it on your
process
cat.
there?
We just were talking about how there are fur babies, and they're out here like, let's see what happens.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
What? Like literally our freaking dad and our husband just died. Let's also kill the cat.
Yeah, they were like, let's see if this is poison. And that's what they did. They used it on the cat. And unfortunately it was. So the cat did pass, which sucks. Terrible part of the story.
I hope the cat comes back and haunts the whole family.
I love that.
I honestly, like, something going through my head is that like Lucy is doing all of this so that she could kill her husband.
Okay, I love that though. Because it is kind of funny to be like, okay, well, the witch was talking to me and thinks I'm beautiful and wonderful and gave me all of these gifts.
Right.
But the ghost really hates you. Like,
yeah. And then like, it's like the mother-daughter. Sometimes mother-daughters have like this weird like
dynamic.
jealousy
100%.
thing. Yeah.
100%.
Lucy, girlfriend.
Lucy's not looking good, but loves her son. If she's like a narcissist mom,
that's another thing.
That
the
like
weird
picks
moms
and
that are like
choose.
obsessed with their sons.
Picks and choose. Like, I love this child, but not this child.
Yeah,
it's not looking good. It's not looking good.
It's not.
After the death of John Bell Sr., the Bell Witch grew quiet and said she would return in 7 years. Then, just as she said, 7 years later, she returned. She would talk to John Bell Jr., who, if you remember, she respected, but didn't haunt anywhere near the amount she had previously. She would tell him in one of their conversations that she would leave again, not to come back until 1935. However, to this day, she hasn't returned the same way. Present. What? I'm sorry?
I said goodbye.
Goodbye. See ya.
Bye, Felicia.
So present day, the house has been torn down and there are no hauntings in the new house. But there is a cave on the property that is claimed to still be haunted by the entity, many sharing that they have heard her faint whispers for themselves.
So she went into a cave.
The cave is basically like the only part of the property that is the same since that time.
I've seen it. I've watched videos on it.
People have definitely done like investigator.
Exactly.
If we ever have our own little exploration.
I don't know if I'm going to climb into a cave.
I'm definitely not going at nighttime. That would freak me out.
Yeah.
And
maybe.
That's so scary. But David and I were also thinking, like, you know how people will have like a ghost or paranormal experience, but it's like carbon monoxide poisoning?
Yeah.
So we were like, I wonder. So the cave, I think, has water in it. I'm pretty sure like it has water.
Maybe people are just getting high.
Yeah. We were like, what if there's like a natural like sulfur or like some kind of like, you know, like you have to.
Interesting.
Like in Tahoe. Oh, man. David's listening to this right now yelling at me like, Catherine, it's this. They have to do a specific test. I think it's granite. You have to do tests to like know the levels because you could get really sick off of it because you can't smell it and you don't know it. So I do wonder if there was something in that cave since it's on the property that was creating all these hallucinations and visions.
Maybe.
And then maybe John Bell Sr. ended up taking his own life because he was dealing with his own elements. Who knows?
Because he was so high and tripping on the hallucinations that he was like, oh, I'm done. Yeah, maybe.
It could be. Well, he also had a lot of ailments that they blamed on the Bell Witch that could have been maybe more modern issues that they just didn't really know of the time.
Yeah.
So, like, who knows? But that, and also like water moving can make noises that kind of sound like that I don't know. I can maybe like echoing in a cave.
Okay, girl. I don't know if a river is going to sound like someone doing a sermon. You know what I mean?
Okay, fair. I more mean like faint whispers. Definitely not a sermon.
Yeah. The 13-mile sermon, I think, got that one beat.
Yeah, that's true. But that's the thing. It's like so many people have like family history and records of this area of this entity interacting with people. And you're right. A faint whisper is very different than someone fully having a convo with you.
Like the river's telling me to kill my husband. It's very weird.
We don't, I don't know.
God.
She's also looking very suspicious, I think. But this is the legend. This is all I have today. That's the legend of the Bell Witch.
That's it? Okay, cool.
But I do think it's like a story where there's just so many different ways it can go. And there's so many elements to this that I think there is kind of this, okay, well, what if it's the underground this? Or maybe she plotted her cousin. What if it's the neighbor that was actually a witch? Like, there's a lot of fun little pieces. So that's my story today. Boom.
We love it. Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I just hope I don't come across a witch that kills my husband and slaps me in the face.
No. But we admire a queen that is trying to outdo herself, and
she's really decisive. You know what I mean? She did what she said she was going to do.
It's so true. That's so true. She always said the truth. She was always like, this is what I'm going to do. And like, I didn't really know too much, like, because I was like, okay, why does she hate John Bell Sr. so much?
Yeah.
Like, I can kind of see it with Betsy. Maybe she's jealous of the relationship, whatever. But I was looking into John Bell Sr., and I guess he had ties to, like, slave trading and, like, wasn't really a great person.
Boy, bye.
Yeah. So because I was like, is there something there? Like, could he have been a bad guy? One, it could be motive for his wife to kill him. Two, but like I was just really curious, like what's up with John Bell Sr. that he, had all these issues, and so we know for sure he wasn't like the best guy. But that was also more of the time. I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting.
What was that?
You heard that too, right?
Wait, why did I just think that was just a dog?
No, there's no.
And
dog
you definitely
here.
Don't have your freaking dogs in there.
Okay, well, you're
what
not
the
welcome.
fuck? I heard that.
You're not welcome, the Bell Witch.
Wait, what did you hear? Because I heard kind of like a almost like I can't describe like a dog. It was a growl. Man.
That's how it started. It's the weird dog and the rabbit face.
Fuck.
Well,
that's so weird. Anyways, okay, you need to get the fuck out of the garage, girlfriend.
Well,
all right.
No, it sounded like it was just outside of. Oh, you know what? It's probably the workers moving stuff outside. We're gonna put that.
Yeah, we'll go with that. We'll go with that. Interesting point and good transition actually, because when I used to have a YouTube channel. I shut that shit down because it's real embarrassing.
No, I loved it though. No,
I rewatched it. Stop. I rewatched this video today and I was like, oh my God, that was terrible. But when I was retelling the Night Marcher video.
Okay, well, here we go.
So when I was retelling that story, noises were going off in the background like multiple times. It was really weird, and it was like on the roof, but there was no way to. Anyway,
don't love it.
Let's see how
don't love it here. Well, this is already happening. You're gonna see a rabbit. Yeah, like okay. Before we move on to that, like, what do you think the rabbit dog was? That's such a weird component.
Well, I feel like they're probably like, oh, it's kind of like witchy, which is like, I don't know.
Because like I was getting like cryptid vibes. I was like, what cryptid is in Tennessee that looks like a dog rabbit?
Isn't there one that's like a hare? What is it called? I forget.
I was thinking the Jersey Devil.
Is that it?
Probably, but that's Jersey.
There's one that's like literally a rabbit, but I forget what it is for. Like, I don't know. Maybe we'll have to look into that.
I'm sorry. That Chef apparently has escaped and is barking at some of the workers.
So was it Chef?
No, he wasn't outside just now. I think it was workers moving stuff. Or a giant dog with a rabbit head.
Yeah, or the Bell Bitch.
Bitch. Why has that not crossed my mind? That is so obvious. That's hilarious, bro. That's so funny. Yep, done.
Yeah.
Well, bitch slapping.
Oh my
Happy New
God.
Year.
That's classic. Okay. Well,
Put
from
that on
Bell
a shirt.
Bitches
That's so funny.
to Bell Bitches. Well, from Bell Bitches to the Night Marchers.
Oh my gosh, let's get into
All
it.
right.
So you were
Let's
watching your
get into
YouTube
it.
video.
Yeah, and just like I just rewatched it to like, make sure that I was remembering the same story because I filmed that video 7 years ago.
Wow.
And yeah, it's exactly how I remembered it. So anyway, I went back to Maui recently.
Mhm.
And I stayed in the same hotel where this stuff happened. It just so happens that like we've stayed there a couple times. It's like down the street from my dad's house, so like we're always kind of staying there. But I took pictures, so we'll insert them as we go through the story of like where this happened because I feel like it kind of helps to like give you the vibe. But I guess for those of you that don't know what night marches are, they're definitely Hawaiian lore, kind of similar to the Menehune in a sense, but a little bit more on like the paranormal side, right? So essentially, they're known to be like ancient Hawaiian warriors that will come out at night. You'll hear a lot of drumming and you'll see their torches and they'll kind of like walk down through the mountains and different areas towards the ocean. It's really creepy. I definitely recommend like kind of like looking it up if you're curious to kind of see those things. But I'm curious to kind of figure out what you remember about the night marchers.
I remember that there are certain portals to jump into the afterlife, and the night marchers would protect those portals. Like they were, I don't know, I could be butchering this, but I remember it being they were real soldiers or like real protectors of these areas that then continue to protect these places in their afterlife. But if you hear drums, you need to get the fuck out their way. And if you look them in the eyes, like they have glowing red eyes and you'll die. I think that's what I remember. I don't, but that I'm truly.
Do you remember anything else funny about having to get on the ground?
No.
You don't remember what you're supposed to do?
Are you supposed to like do a little dance?
Girl, you would have died. Okay. So the night marchers, you're kind of right. Like they used to like move like the royals or like they would move like important people throughout. They're warriors, right? So I've never heard about the portal thing, but I wouldn't doubt it because there's a lot of say like, hey, like the Poly is like an area where you would jump off into the afterlife, like that kind of stuff. So
Black Rock too, I think.
Yeah, like there's definitely like those things happening. So anyway, Trent just got home. Boom, I'm filming a podcast.
Hey, Trent.
And I can't hear you. I can't hear him at all. Oh no, it's an Amazon guy.
Or it's a night marcher or it's the bell bitch.
Sorry. I like can't hear you. He's probably like outside my door like, what the fuck?
He's probably like, hello.
What? Okay. He would be like, oh, there's a ghost story. Like no one's at that house.
Ooh,
someone's screaming at me. This is how they start. Anyway.
The legend of the Amazon delivery driver and the faint whisper ghost.
Yeah, for real. So anyway, like I was saying, there's definitely different areas that are like considered portals to the underworld or the afterlife. So that definitely is possible. From the most accounted kind of like stories and what I remember being a thing and from my research is they are warriors. They'll come down. Some say that they're more active on certain like moon cycles and things. But you're definitely right. If you come across them or you hear their drums, they'll drum and do conch shells. You need to get out of their path. You need to bow down. And the part that you forgot is you need to strip down naked.
You're joking.
How do you not remember that?
You're joking. I feel like I remember that. Why did I not? But okay, to be fair, all of the information I learned about night marchers was whatever people were talking about on the playground. Like I was not Googling this.
That's valid.
This was not a Google era of my life. So I could see how someone just would have felt uncomfortable saying that and didn't.
Yeah.
But then screwed me over. Like I was not prepared.
Girl, yeah, you could have like easily gone down. So anyway, that's the whole thing. And you're right about they have red glowing eyes and you're supposed to not look at them. So that's the whole reason that you get on the ground and you don't look at them, right?
That makes sense.
It's definitely disrespectful. But the other part is if you're of Hawaiian ancestry, it's said that like one of those warriors might be connected to you somehow. So they will like allow you to live. But if you're not, then they'll literally kill you. They'll pierce you with their things. So it's a whole thing. I don't know if you remember like the movie theaters. I think I talked about this before, but in the beginning of like all the movies in Hawaii, if you're like in like the wharf per se, they have this like entrance of like these warriors like
With
walking
the
down.
yes!
Scared the shit out of me.
I remember that.
I
They,
used
like,
to
all
put my
walk with
feet
the-
up. That is scary.
With
So
the torches, right? Like they're like,
yes.
it's like not sunset. It's like a little darker than
Yes.
sunset, but they're
Yes.
I know exactly.
And they blow the conch shell and they have the drums. And I'm
Yes.
like, girl.
You were like,
So anyway,
no. Terrified.
that's kind of the vibe, right? And like
Mhm.
you're not supposed to look at them. There's so many accounts in Hawaii from Hawaiians, from people. The Hawaiians definitely believe this. Like this is not like a joke to them. It's very serious. They're like sacred warriors. Like it's a whole thing. Okay.
That's true.
So
That's like
as
a
much
whole-
as it is like, you know, like everybody talks about it on the playground and stuff, and like everybody is like in school talking about it because it's like kind of lure, like it's definitely regarded as real and you need to respect it.
Mhm.
So anyway, I've had my own experience with night marchers, and I guess I'll go into that a little bit because it's definitely interesting. Like this happened when I was in, I think it was my sophomore year of high school. So I was pretty old, you know, and like I've lived there for a while and like not run into them, but I've had a lot of people that definitely have. And like I said earlier, I think in our last episode, my hairdresser's uncle has seen them in his own valley where he lives on Oahu. So it's between all the other islands as well. It's not just Maui, but it's all the islands. So I'll share, we'll pop up a picture of where I'm talking about where we were, but I was with my friend and we're walking on these rocks that you can kind of see here. And we were just kind of like futzing around down there, like just like walking around. It was sunset, just like that photo. So we were just kind of like hanging out. And all of a sudden, little rocks started getting thrown at us. And I was like, that's like kind of annoying. But it's kind of close to a hotel, right? Like some of the hotel rooms are up there. A lot of tourists will kind of walk around. And another thing to note, this time during the season, it was pretty quiet tourist-wise. Like Hawaii will go through surges, like Thanksgiving, Christmas, super busy. Other times of the year, like there's definitely tourists around, but it's not as packed. Like the island will go through kind of like busy season. So this was like a low season. There's still people walking around, but not a lot. And so my friend and I were like, what the fuck? And it just kept happening and kept happening and kept happening. And then we started walking along the track. Kept happening. I'm like, is she fucking with me? Like, what is going on? Then I was like, is someone like up on the rocks throwing these things? It didn't make a lot of sense. So we kept walking. I'm like, okay, I'm over this. Like the rocks kept getting bigger. Then they started hitting us, like actually like, you know, and I was like, okay, I'm over it. Like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm going to get out of here. So we start walking up into a path that leads into this basically like parking lot area. And so I have a photo of that too. And that's actually the hotel I stayed in where we were parking. So good times. And it was about that same time, like you said, it's like that in between of night and like the sun just set and it's getting darker now. And so we start walking down this parking lot and I start hearing drums. And I'm like,
nope.
And it's kind of like a busy area, right? Like a lot of times when I hear about night marchers, it's up in the mountains or it's near burial sites or it's near like different like areas where there was like wars fought. So I was like, what the fuck? And then I looked at my friend and I was like, do you hear that? And she's like, yeah. And it started getting louder and louder and louder. And the parking lot was pretty empty. And it was like, now it was like basically getting like to the dark point, right? So I'm like, well, I'm not going to like mess around with that because I've heard a lot of things that I should just drop down and get naked. I'm like, well, I'm not going to get naked in this parking lot. So I drop down, I put my head down and I'm just like literally sitting there like freaking out, just like head down, waiting for it to pass. Cause then I hear marching. I can hear the footsteps. I can hear the drums. It sounds like a ton of people.
Whoa.
And my friend does the same thing. We're both just sitting there like, what the fuck? Like, what are we supposed to do? You're terrified to look up, right? Like,
yeah.
Is
well, we've been
somebody
taught over and over again that, and like to your earlier point, like I think on the mainland, when we talk about like legends and lore, there's also kind of like a fun storytelling component. But like growing up in Hawaii, there is a real, it's real. It is a very real, like very respectful, like you take, this is you, you're not taking this lightly.
No, I'm like full blown, like this is 100% what's happening and I'm not going to look
100%.
because it's completely disrespectful and I will die.
Yeah.
So,
multiple reasons here.
And clearly I'm not Hawaiian, okay? Yeah. So ain't nobody giving me a pass. So I'm sitting there like, oh my God, in this parking lot. And I literally in my head, I'm like so aware. I'm like, I'm going to strip down.
Getting anxiety. I'm getting anxiety. Like that's
It was getting so loud. And I was like, should I just take my clothes off? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. Like, I'm in the middle. I'm like, how old am I at that time? I don't know. Like young teens.
14,
like
15. Yeah.
Probably shouldn't get naked in a parking lot, you know? Yeah. So I'm just like, I'm going to keep my head down and just hope for the best. Right. Ooh. And this goes on for like a few minutes. Like I would say probably 2 minutes. And so we're sitting there and I'm like, okay, it sounds like it passed. And I'm like, to my friend, I'm like, do you think it's safe to get up? And she's like, yeah, I think it's safe. Then rocks started coming again. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get up.
Yeah.
I'm just going to get up. We're going to go. So we walk past and we're out by the kind of like the front of the hotel by the sign. And at this point, I'm just like trying to reconcile what's been going on. So I'm like looking at my friend. I'm like, okay, you've got to be fucking with me. Like, what is
how did
like,
you do
where
this?
Yeah. How did this like who did you like employ to make this happen?
who has a like, boom box?
Yeah, like where are our friends? Like jokes up, come out because I'm scared, right? And she's like, no, I swear I'm not. And I'm like, well then hold my hands. We held our hands and our feet together, right? And I'm staring at her. And I'm like, if a rock flies right now, that'd be really impressive because where we were by the beach, like
very different.
It's so far. And there's like nowhere for anyone to hide up here. So like we're kind of in like an area where I would see you if you threw a rock at me. Mm-hmm. So we're sitting there staring at each other. And I swear to God, the biggest rock hits the sign right past us, like nailed the sign. And I was like, fuck it, I'm out. Like I'm running back home. I'm over it. So I start booking it like up the street to my dad's house running. And this street, to give you context, it has like a lot of potholes. There's no lights, right? Like there's no like street lights. It's dark, potholes everywhere. I'm booking it. My friend's slow. I'm like, sucks for you.
Better you than me, boo. Bye.
See you later. I turn around because she starts screaming because I'm halfway up this freaking hill now, okay? She starts screaming because she fell. And she's like, Taylor. And I turn around and I'm like, and I look back. And as I look back, I see two red eyes staring at me at the bottom of the hill. I lost my shit. I was like, listen, girl.
You're like, I'm dying. We're out of here.
I straight up left.
You saw red eyes? Girl, how are you alive?
Yes, I don't know. So I was
because you booked
traumatized. I'm like, I'm going to die. I'm literally going to die.
Yeah.
She ends up running a completely different direction than my house because she's so scared. She just wants to get to a house.
Like to the Gulch?
Like she ran into, I don't know if you know where Lombardi lives. Jeff Lombardi. It's like the street below me. Okay. She just like runs in there because she's like, I just need to be by humans. I need to be in a house. I'm like, absolutely not. I need tea leaves. So I run to my house. And if you guys probably don't know, but as far as like what you're supposed to do if you see night marchers, like call somebody that you know that might be Hawaiian, get a lot of tea leaves. That's kind of like what I was told to do. So I call Marshall and I'm like, Marsha, dude. I was like, by the way, I saw him recently. Anyway, totally off topic. But I call him and I'm like, hey, like I swear to God, I just saw a night marcher. I don't know what to do. He puts his dad on the phone. His dad's Hawaiian, right? Mm-hmm. So his dad's like, he's like literally full grown adult. Like, I'm like, I saw a night marcher, I swear to God. And he's like, it's not a joke. You need to get tea leaves and you need to come over here right now. And I was like, okay,
say less, I'm there.
Say less. So I went over there. We grabbed tea leaves. We were just sitting there. And like, I literally wanted to sleep there that night because I didn't know what to do.
I'm shocked you didn't.
I know. I went home, but I slept, literally put like tea leaves everywhere. And you know, nothing happened. Nothing came of it. I guess they decided to spare me. But I swear to God, I'll never forget that at the end of the street. The eyes. And I've heard the drums and heard the marching and I had rocks thrown that like don't make a lot of sense.
Wow, Taylor. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really weird. It's like a weird area for that to happen. Like I said,
it's such a touristy area.
Yeah. I'm like, it's kind of like in a parking lot. Like, what do you mean?
Well, it's kind of like, I mean, it's different because I think the night marchers are different than, remember there's a ghost and it's at, the Ritz Carlton and it chokes people. Like, I wonder Like, that's a pretty, I mean, I don't know. I think it's
I don't
different.
think that there's burial grounds. The Ritz-Carlton was built on ancient Hawaiian burial grounds, and that's why it's super haunted.
Yeah.
But and it also too, Kaanapali, a lot of those buildings were.
Really? I know the
yeah,
Ritz,
dude.
obviously,
The
but
Ritz, and then don't you remember the
that's
burial?
why they had to push the hotel back because all
Yeah.
of those mounds. Which do they
I
tell
know.
tourists that? Do they go?
No, there's placards down there now,
Oh,
but
that's
like
good.
people just walk around on it. And then also
People have
Canoe
like the
Beach.
weddings right there. Anyway,
Yeah, there's Canoe Beach. There's literally like a graveyard that they literally moved the graveyard so that they could build the freaking hotels. Anyway,
that graveyard. Not to go on a whole other side tangent, like
it's
was
sad.
it. Well, it also every time there's a big storm, it washes the remains.
Oh, I
like,
found a femur bone at Canoe Beach one time. Yeah.
okay, I hate that. Because I've heard the story. My dad said that a tourist freaked out at him because my dad like used to work in like vacation
Yeah.
rentals and stuff, and a tourist was freaking out because they found a skull. And I was
Yeah,
like, well,
no, it's a full thing.
look
I found
up-
a straight up like human femur. It was big.
That's
And I went, my
sad.
dad was lifeguarding that day.
Oh,
I'm
that
like,
makes
Dad,
sense.
like I straight up found a bone. He's like, yeah, that's human.
I
Like,
forgot that your
okay.
dad used to work at that tower. I totally remember
I know,
that.
isn't that weird? Yeah. Now he's at Fleming's like all the time. But anyway,
Wow.
that's my night marcher experience. And I
Wow,
tried to look
Taylor.
up like some Reddit stories too for like good ones. And a lot of people were saying like it was so traumatic they don't want to bring it up. But there's a lot of like hearing the marching, seeing the lights, seeing the torches, bowing down, people getting naked. It's
It's
a
legit.
thing.
You don't fuck with that. Like it's such a different. I mean, I'm proud of you for like doing like what fun. One, knowing more. I can't believe I didn't know about the naked part. But two,
Yeah.
like knowing to like call Marshall and then his dad. Like I don't know. There's something like really
Like, here's the thing. Now that I'm, 30 and have time to like reflect back on it, could it have been like a whole hoax type situation? Like,
yeah, like
I feel
his
like
dad
that would
was
be really
yanking a chain.
hard.
Oh
No, like his dad was just out of it. But like, if like you're like a 14-year-old girl calls you, you're gonna like just be like, oh, like let's beat into it,
yeah, for sure.
Oh,
for sure. There is that.
But then I'm
component.
like,
But how did you
the
hear
rocks
that?
happen?
Yeah.
Where
Do
did
you-
the drumming come from? Where did the eyes come from? That would be hard to do.
Yeah. I mean, okay. I mean, I'd love to ask like a couple questions. Are you like, do you feel like the rocks were a warning, or do you think the rocks were a warning to get you out of the area? Like,
Possibly.
like I wonder. I can't not go menehune. Like I can't
Yeah.
not feel like
Oh.
was someone trying to get you out of the way, because that's what
That's
the rocks
so interesting.
represent
I've never
to
thought
me.
about that.
Like I don't think night marchers are gonna night marcher. You know what I mean? Like that sounds,
Yeah, they
that
are.
sounds so ridiculous.
But it's like literally they are. Yeah.
They're not known to like pivot
They're
around
not stopping.
people. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're warriors. They're known for continuing on and doing their path and protection. That I
Mhm.
like the rock throwing. To me, feels like something warning you to get out of there.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good point. Because I that's the thing. And I was like looking up, I'm like, is that associated like rock throwing with night marchers? And it's not.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why would
doesn't
that
make sense.
happen?
Yeah, with the MO.
Yeah. And like the rock throwing, I feel like would be the easiest thing to debunk. Like someone's just throwing but then again, like if you don't know us, why would you be throwing rocks at us? That's so bizarre.
Yeah. Especially
then
like
how do you
so
follow
much
us?
time? Yeah.
The areas that we walked to were so far away. And then I said that one point where we're holding our hands, like I would have saw you throw that rock.
yeah.
So
and that's a
it's
big
weird.
rock for someone to carry like all the way.
it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, I don't know. Could it have been me just being so scared out of my wits that I'm like, thought that I saw something or thought that I heard something? I don't know. But it is weird.
That is weird.
So I just go with, I had a night marcher experience.
For sure. I mean, that's what it sounds like. I think the only
Right?
thing that gives me pause is the rocks feels like something trying to move you.
Ian, that's such a good point.
Yeah.
Honestly,
That
yeah,
feels more
probably.
protection, especially with the big rock hitting a sign. That's a noise. That's not at your head, you know?
Yeah, that's true. And like the ones that did hit us were small. Like
Yeah.
they started off smaller and like they were
Being
hitting
like,
my legs.
Bro.
Yeah,
move.
it was like,
Move
get the
those
hell out of the
legs.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is weird because like we're standing on all like the lava rock area. Like it makes sense that that's where the progression would have went.
I don't know. I don't know why I'm getting such Menehune vibes, but I really am. Really
I love
am.
that. I had a Menehune and a Night Marcher experience.
It is Hawaiian legends specifically, I think is one of the reasons why I'm so interested and fascinated to this stuff. I think there is a cultural difference. You know, obviously we are not Hawaiian, but we grew up there.
Right.
And I think culturally we still understand this like deeper connection to like the lore and the legend and like, because you know, a lot of that stems from like I don't know. I learned this term recently, well, like a couple years, of a third culture kid. And that is someone that their parents aren't from that culture, but they were raised in a culture that's not their own.
Interesting.
And even though we were born and raised in America, we were born and raised in Hawaii. Like,
it's a different
that's
America,
a very different, like, there are so many people I meet on the mainland and like that I just don't connect. I feel different. I just feel so different. And like, obviously, like I'm still like a white girl that like I get people think I'm from the Midwest all the time. They're not assuming I'm from Hawaii, but like there really is so many cultural differences in just the way we live, but especially with lore and legends. And I think one of the reasons why one, you and I have always just been into this stuff, but I think a part of it is really, you know, the myths and the lore and the legends of Hawaii.
Well, I also think like, I don't know about you, but I've had more experiences out there that I'm like, they're unexplainable. Like you saw the white lady, right?
Yeah. Well, that was I don't think I did.
You were definitely there, no?
Okay, here's the issue. I have a terrible memory. I think a lot of people do.
Okay.
And I was definitely there because that was like the weird church camp thing we all did.
Yes.
Right? And then we all had the tents and I can picture it. So I think I was there.
We were playing it wasn't like, it was like tag.
It was like tag. Yes, we were playing
but it was like a tag hide and seek.
Yeah, because it was like not boys against girls, but it was teams. I remember. Yeah. I just remember because I remember there.
Okay, so you were there then. I think maybe you're just traumatized.
I mean, I can picture it in my head. And I remember going back the next day to figure out what it was. And we didn't find anything. Because I think I was there. Because I think
Did we talk about this in our last episode with the gray lady?
No, I don't think we did.
People don't even know the story.
Oh,
so it's
my
not,
gosh.
It's not a big story, but we'll just give you like a little tidbit. But like we said, we were on some church thing because literally you went to the church things just for like to socialize at that point in time.
100%.
So and there's a lot of people.
Not to call this situation out, but more of these kids were partying and hooking up than the not church group
1,000% there was stuff going down in these freaking tents.
Going down. That's terrible.
So we're literally camping in this back lot of where Fleming's is.
Yes.
Which is kind of like another beach area, which is
near
close to the Ritz-Carlton.
Yes. Yeah. Where all the ancient burial grounds are.
Yeah. It's not right where they are, but it's close.
It's like up on that hill.
Yeah. The hill above it did. So anyway, we were back there with like a bunch of tents and like we were just doing this like camp out thing. Yeah. Everybody was playing this tag hide and seek game.
Yeah.
Most people are sitting in the bushes around, there's like the perimeter of all these trees. Multiple people remember looking up at the tree and seeing the white lady hanging there. And we all booked it the fuck out of there. Multiple. Like there was like 20 plus of us in there. And it's like a mass like sighting. The white lady. And it wasn't like, I saw it. It wasn't like a person or a prank because it literally was like high.
Yes. Okay. I definitely saw this because I can picture it completely.
20 feet.
Yeah.
20 feet in
it was up in a pine
tree.
Yes.
Yes.
And crazy tattered dress. Like I just remember the end. You couldn't see feet. It was just tattered dress bottom.
Yeah. And it was crooked neck all the way up 20 feet hanging from the tree. So everybody ran. Everybody had corroborated stories. We all freaking saw it. It was nuts. And then I asked my dad too, because I was like, Dad, have you ever heard of the white lady since he works right there? He's like, oh yeah, that's like totally like, yeah, she's back there. And I was like, what?
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah. So that's a whole... That's what I'm saying. Like we've grown up with those experiences. So I think we're more open to the idea of the paranormal.
Yeah, because I remember we all went into the tent afterwards and we're like 13.
Freaking
we were
out.
freaking out. And then I remember someone, I can't remember who,
To go out.
was like, it's probably like a t-shirt. And I remembered being like, it's way too big.
It was
like
glowing.
Yeah. And then, because it's pitch black back there.
Yeah.
Like the fact that we were playing tag back there kind of is like absurd.
Ballsy.
Yeah. Because it's creepy back there. There's nothing. And then I remember the next morning, I remember walking to the spot and seeing nothing.
Yeah.
We probably went together, obviously.
I remember waking up in the morning. Yeah. We walked out of the tent and everybody was like checking it out to see what's up there. Nothing.
Oh gosh. But yeah, I think you're totally right. I think we culturally, and Hawaii's a more spiritual place. Like, I don't feel, maybe I'm going to sound very like, but I feel like when I'm in Hawaii, I'm actually connected to land. Like there's a very you have like an intimate connection with, it's cheesy to say the Aina, but it's true. Like you are like physically a part of something bigger than yourself and you can physically feel it. Yeah. And I don't feel that all on the mainland. I don't know.
I don't either. I feel like you have more of a, like you said, it's more of a connection because what you do directly impacts this little island that you're living on. And it does feel like you're closer to that barrier between the spirit world and our world, I guess.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning into the new season. Happy 2024. We're happy to be here and not in 2023. Yes. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, we'll see you guys in the next episode. If you want to leave us any recommendations on things to cover, feel free to shoot us an email. And then make sure to follow us on all of our socials and we'll see you soon.
And please send ratings out. It really, really does help us get discovered. We really, really appreciate any tips for getting discovered, any help we can get there. It's really, really nice. Absolutely. But thank you so much for being here and we'll see you next time. Oh, we already know the next themes too, right?
What are we doing? I don't know. You tell me.
Oh, I'm covering another creepypasta Reddit story. So get excited
general
for
weird.
That. We're getting weird already. Of course we are.
Love it.
Bye, guys.
Bye.